What if I told you that the biggest threat to your power is not your enemy, not your circumstances, not even your failures, but the silent weakness you tolerate inside your own mind? What if the real battlefield is invisible, and every day you are either conquering it or surrendering without even realizing it? Listen carefully, because what you are about to hear is not motivational noise. It is a mirror, and most men are afraid of mirrors. Machiavelli wrote that men are less concerned with doing what is right than with appearing strong in the eyes of others. And that is where the decay begins, because the man who tries to appear powerful without becoming powerful builds his life on sand. Today we expose the habits that quietly rot a man from the inside, and we replace them with the discipline of a sovereign mind. If you are ready to stop living like a pawn and start thinking like a strategist, stay until the end. The first weakness is the addiction to comfort. The modern world has made weakness convenient. Food arrives at your door, entertainment floods your screen, validation comes in the form of likes and shallow applause, and slowly, without pain, without warning, your edge disappears. A comfortable man is easy to control. He will not risk. He will not endure. He will not stand alone. Machiavelli understood that rulers who grew soft lost their kingdoms. The same applies to you. When you choose the easy path repeatedly, you train your nervous system to avoid struggle. But struggle is the forge of identity. Steel is not strengthened by warmth. It is strengthened by fire. Think of the Roman generals who slept in tents beside their soldiers, who endured the same cold and hunger. They did not do it for aesthetics. They did it because hardship sharpens command. If you cannot command yourself in discomfort, you will never command respect in comfort. The Stoic does not chase pain for drama. He chooses voluntary hardship to remember who he is. Cold showers, difficult conversations, hard training, silence when insulted. He rehearses adversity so that real adversity does not break him. The second weakness is emotional exhibition. In a world that celebrates oversharing, the disciplined man becomes rare. Machiavelli warned that a prince must learn how not to be good when circumstances demand it. In other words, he must master his emotional display. This does not mean becoming heartless. It means becoming deliberate. The foolish man reacts instantly. He vents online. He explodes in arguments. He confesses every insecurity to people who have not earned his trust. And then he wonders why he is not respected. Emotion without control is a public confession of vulnerability. The Stoic understands timing. He feels anger but does not broadcast it. He feels fear but does not kneel to it. He understands that people judge strength by what they see, not by what you claim to feel. Imagine two men facing insult. One shouts, defends, over-explains. The other looks calmly, says little, and continues his path. Which one appears unshakable? Which one would you follow into uncertainty? Silence, when chosen consciously, is a weapon. The third weakness is the hunger to be liked. This is the quiet disease of our age. Men sacrifice principles for approval. They dilute their opinions. They laugh at jokes they do not find funny. They apologize for existing too boldly. Machiavelli observed that it is safer to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. Most people misunderstand this. It does not mean you should become cruel. It means you must prioritize respect over popularity. Because love without respect fades quickly. A man who lives for approval becomes predictable, and a predictable man is controllable. When your decisions are filtered through, "Will they like me?" you have already surrendered authority over your life. The Stoic filters decisions through, "Is this aligned with my values?" That question builds spine. There will be moments when standing firm costs you invitations, relationships, even opportunities. But what you gain is something rarer than comfort. You gain self-trust. And once a man trusts himself, the world feels different. The fourth weakness is blaming fate while avoiding responsibility. Weak men romanticize their suffering. They narrate their lives as tragedies. The economy is unfair. Their family held them back. Their past ruined them. And perhaps some of that is true. Life is not equal. But Machiavelli never advised leaders to complain about reality. He advised them to understand it and maneuver within it. The Stoic does not waste energy arguing with what is. He studies it. If the terrain is rough, he adjusts his strategy. If the enemy is stronger, he becomes smarter. Complaining is emotional indulgence. Responsibility is strategic power. Imagine two chess players losing pieces early in the game. One slams the board, blaming luck. The other leans forward, recalculating. The board is the same. The outcome will not be. When you accept radical responsibility, something shifts. You stop waiting for rescue. You stop expecting fairness. You begin building leverage. And leverage changes destiny. The fifth weakness is impatience. Modern men want transformation without time, muscles without years of discipline, wealth without decades of skill, respect without consistent character. Machiavelli studied history deeply because he understood that power is not built overnight. It is accumulated quietly. The Stoic respects process. He plants seeds knowing he may not sit in their shade for years. The impatient man jumps from plan to plan, chasing shortcuts. The disciplined man commits. He understands that mastery is boring before it is impressive. Every empire was once a fragile idea. Every powerful man was once unnoticed. The difference between those who rise and those who fade is endurance. When you feel the urge to quit because progress is slow, remember this: slow progress compounds. Quitting resets. The sixth weakness is speaking more than observing. The insecure man talks to assert dominance. He interrupts. He overexplains. He fills silence because silence makes him uncomfortable. But Machiavelli valued information above noise. A ruler who listens gathers intelligence. A ruler who speaks carelessly reveals strategy. The same applies in daily life. When you observe more than you speak, you begin to see patterns. You notice insecurities in others. You detect motives. You understand timing. Silence becomes data collection, and data creates advantage. The Stoic enters a room and studies before he expresses. He does not need to be the loudest to be the strongest. In fact, the loudest man is often compensating. Speak with intention. Speak less than you know. Let your actions create the narrative. The seventh weakness is the fear of solitude. Many men cannot sit alone without distraction. They fear their own thoughts, so they drown them in noise, music, scrolling, constant company. But solitude is where identity is forged. Marcus Aurelius wrote his Meditations alone, not for applause, but for clarity. When you are alone without stimulation, your mind surfaces truths you have avoided, your regrets, your ambitions, your inconsistencies. Most run from this confrontation. The Stoic welcomes it because self-knowledge is power. If you cannot be at peace alone, you will cling to relationships out of need, not strength, and neediness destroys influence. The man who is comfortable alone chooses relationships freely. He does not beg for them. That energy changes everything. The eighth weakness is uncontrolled desire. Desire itself is not evil, but when desire controls you, you become predictable. Machiavelli understood human appetites deeply. Men who cannot restrain greed, lust, or ego are easy to manipulate. Offer them temptation, and they expose themselves. The Stoic disciplines desire. He practices wanting less, not because ambition is wrong, but because dependency is dangerous. When you need nothing desperately, you negotiate from strength. When you crave validation, money, or pleasure too intensely, you can be bought. Freedom begins with restraint. The ninth weakness is resentment. Holding grudges feels powerful, but it drains energy. The man obsessed with revenge becomes emotionally tethered to his enemy. Machiavelli was strategic, not emotional. If retaliation served stability, he acted. If forgiveness served advantage, he chose that. The Stoic asks one question: does this emotion serve my long-term strength? If not, he releases it. Resentment is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to weaken. Strategic detachment is superior. The 10th weakness is neglecting physical discipline. Your body is not separate from your mind. A weak body influences a weak posture, shallow breathing, fragile confidence. You cannot think like a warrior while living like a spectator. The Stoics trained endurance. Roman leaders valued physical resilience. When you train your body, you train your will. Each completed workout is evidence that you do what you say you will do. That integrity builds identity, and identity shapes destiny. Now understand this clearly. Stoicism is not about suppressing humanity. It is about mastering it. Machiavelli is not about cruelty. He is about clarity. Together they teach one brutal truth. The world rewards disciplined strength and exploits visible weakness. You can call this unfair, or you can prepare. The choice is yours. Look at your habits. Where are you choosing comfort over growth? Where are you reacting instead of calculating? Where are you seeking applause instead of building substance? Do not answer quickly. Sit with the discomfort. Because transformation begins with honest self-assessment. Imagine yourself 5 years from now if you continue without change. The same excuses, the same emotional reactions, the same half-built ambitions. That vision should disturb you. Now imagine the alternative. 5 years of deliberate discipline, controlled emotion, strategic silence, physical training, ruthless responsibility. The difference would be unrecognizable. Power is not a personality trait. It is a collection of repeated decisions. Every day you vote for the man you are becoming. Weakness compounds. So does strength. The Stoic Machiavellian man does not wait for motivation. He builds systems. He does not chase admiration. He earns respect. He does not fear hardship. He anticipates it. He does not beg for attention. He commands presence through composure. This is not about becoming cold. It is about becoming stable. Not about dominating others, but about ruling yourself so completely that no one else can. If this message unsettled you, good. Growth begins with disruption. If it inspired you, even better. But inspiration without action is entertainment. And this channel is not built for passive listeners. It is built for men who are ready to sharpen their minds while others dull theirs. If you are committed to mastering your thoughts, your emotions, and your strategy in a chaotic world, subscribe now. Join a community that refuses mediocrity. And in the comments, write this: I choose discipline over comfort. Make it public. Make it real. Because the moment you declare your standard, you raise it. Remember, the world does not decide your strength. Your habits do. And from this moment forward, you either train your mind or it will be trained by the world. The choice, as always, is yours.